Hello, gamers. What's up? It's the boy as we play games back here with another stream. Yep, I just uploaded those 500 songs. Now you're getting another Deltarune say reaction stream. It's like I said, I should be doing one more of these for the new titles come out. And I think that seems to be on maybe Thursday or Friday. We'll see. It'll take a few days break to post this title, and luckily there hasn't been a new Deltarune teaser posted yet. Which is good. I'm just gonna go take that quickly. Scared I'm getting tricked. And that there was anyone to tell teaser, but I haven't seen hearing by Huey uploading anything about a new teaser yet. Maybe new one upload tomorrow or Wednesday. I think Wednesday has been when they've been getting yeah. Okay, so never mind. Something did get posted on the freaking Twitter 6 hours ago. I knew it. It says TD cuts out for the Wizard minigame at Deltarune Chapter 3. So it is gonna be like a rock band. It isn't that. No, let me show this. I'm gonna put this up on the screen. On the stream. That's what I meant to say. I might also close some things out for stuff open right now. Let me close some things out. Give me a minute. So yeah, well, she saw that part in Tattoo and the trailer, the rock band part. But I really like this, and it actually makes sense because a lot of Toby Fox's songs are like rock theme, like Megalomania is one of the big examples. Another one I think of some Susie's theme is really rock. Yeah, Toby Fox is a big rock fan. What makes me think of in Japan, this rock is big. Yeah. What was something else? What's the guy you're away? I'm still wondering about these song lyrics. I don't know what I was seeing on my screen. Sorry, I didn't know there was something else. I thought that was it. But no. I've had which makes lyrics, but more or less the possible to rewrite a plan. What's the guy you're away? Is that what you don't forget? I forgot what the lyrics of Don't Forget is. So maybe it is the lyrics to Don't Forget. But I like going back up here to the outfit. I really like Ralphie's rock outfit and Chris's, and of course I get Susie. Yep. But I like all the designs here. And this could be a hard minigame, I bet. But my only question is, it says that it's in chapter 3. What TV show is this period in? Or like what tower of TV show? Because I want to look at a Western part. I think going to my mind now is Masked Singer, but no. But what about the video? What? Okay, I guess they're probably putting in like music TV shows like American Idol, X Factor, Masked Singer, I guess. Those shows, but that kind of seems dumb if it is. If they're appearing like those kind of shows, I don't know how I feel about it. If that part's being like American Idol or Masked Singer or X Factor. I mean, those are big shows, big TV shows, but I don't know. And it's rock. I seriously don't know, man. I have nothing. Is that it? And I put them on May 24th. Oh my. I said posted a talk video. Oh, wait, the other guy. You ever have to say what top to say? They posted a lot. This was on May 24th, so 5 days ago, about a week ago. We'll get to see if it needs to be the last thing. Yeah, I want to see what this is. Is this sound this one? Yeah, do it. What about this is I did like Microsoft Video Maker. That's it. What's going on with the audio? Okay, that's it. What is this bill? Oh, so I love how that was made. TC box. Oh my goodness, that was that was something else. Anyway, so all the Twitter posts or the X posts I missed. He said doesn't check the Blue Sky account. Let me see if there's anything on the Blue Sky account quickly. I think many posts on that on the Twitter or X. I'm calling X Twitter. I'm sorry. Okay, he hasn't posted anything on Blue Sky. Okay, so good. Alright then. So I'm trying. So gonna watch. So I got a lot of series put in. For Foodie Say, put in my Watch Later playlist. I'm gonna be interesting. Sweet be watching this one. I'll die when I be in a dark world. I do not trust the listeners. I'm missing that one. Then that time I watched this, I know who Tina is, but I don't know what watch that one on the next one. Actually, yeah, singing this one be watching the Undown Be in the Awkward and do not trust the lesson. We watching those two. So yep. Get this first one pulled up of Undyne not being a Darkwood. Which I've seen a lot of people say that, but I'm like 100% so Undyne like it's gonna be in this because at the end of chapter 2 we see two of police know well and Undyne is part of the police department, of course. So we think that it was Nessa Book who picked up the phone, but Nessa Book literally doesn't have any arms. So how would he be able to pick up the phone? So yeah. Okay, hold on. This was made back in February of this year. All right, there we go. All right, here we go, people. Let's go. From screen it.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Hope your day is going well so far. I'll go ahead and cut straight to the chase. I don't think Undyne is going to be in chapter 3 of Deltarune. Now, but before we can get into that, let's talk about why people think Undyne will be joining us in chapter 3. There's quite understandable and quite reasonable. The ending of
Dude, see, I didn't know it lagged so much, man. How football is gonna be lagging, man. Oh, anyways, so Slash tires at the police car. That's what I said. Chris has his tires in to go to police. Chris needs to door open for the police into the dark ward. Alan is an officer. Yep.
Slash the tires
but
of the car
weird.
And leave.
Chris leaves the door open. That seems interesting because Chris leaves the door open. Because the rest of the night doesn't want to get caught, right? I still think I say it was caught in the night, but why would Chris leave the door open? Because they know if they do that, then they will probably get caught and arrested, which is not what I think they like. What? That makes no sense. Like, why would they want to get caught?
The door open to the house, right, before creating the dark fountain. And Toriel calls an officer, and Undyne in Deltarune's universe is an officer. So
it's an nap break, isn't it? I got to do the ass.
So last night he used him.
Honestly, nothing better than when
some kind of, if I can get Apple Lock somehow.
And then reason 2 is that.
Oh, this right? Because he says we told her that there was a dark world. I don't remember what chapter. It was a chapter 1. Yeah, chapter 1. You can try to say that there's dark world, but that's believe us. You can try to tell us what dark world is. Thanks for us. Yeah.
Undyne doesn't believe in the dark worlds, so if we choose to interact with her during the end of chapter 2, as we're walking around hometown, we can or should are making it up as it is. So
Yeah.
be
There we go.
It could be part of Chris's plan to convince her to get help from a trusted adult, as like an officer would be. So that could be part of why Chris did all of this. Would be to lure her in and make her believe. The third reason is a bit more, but
Green
it's
Soul Battle.
the
What?
green soul.
The single boss is likely used as a soul class, and that's why may be green because it doesn't matter what attack does. Online associated with the green soul.
People believe that in chapter 3, or in all the chapters rather, we're going to be seeing different variations of the soul mechanics from Delta, or from Undertale rather. Delta essentially
There we go.
being used soul to help protect us, that Sham talks about in chapter 2 as well, which should.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to do something. Give me a minute. Hopefully this works.
fight or the likes, we could be seeing a reappearance of the Green Soul. That would help be evidence as to why she would be coming in. Now, in Chapter 3, and my first reason is it's too obvious. We know that Toby loves to subvert expectations, so go ahead and check it out. And it could be a similar thing with this, whereas obviously that the red herring here is not whether or not Chris opened the fountain, because they obviously did open the fountain. We saw it with our own eyes, unless you believe that the whole thing was just like, there's like a gas leak under the house or whatever, because they stabbed the pipes. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, personally. So, if you want to believe that Toby still has a subversion or a red herring in the ending of Chapter 2, then it could be regarding who ends up coming to the house, because people expect Undyne to come. It'd be kind of funny if she didn't, right? Then it ended up being someone that we didn't expect. And so, yeah, as the slide says, be sure to check out my video dedicated on just how Toby Fox loves to mess with his players and subvert expectations, because I think that it'll lend some credence as to why I believe that Undyne coming is a bit too obvious. Reason 2 is exploring other characters. So, Undyne was one of the most fleshed out characters in Undertale. She has all of Waterfalls about her. Most of Alphys's character revolves around her. She has a big, super challenging battle in the genocide route. Like, she's probably top 3 or 4, probably, most major characters in Undertale. So she's already had a lot of time to be explored and fleshed out. Her deal with Alphys and the relationship there is already kind of a big character arc. It's already kind of fleshed out. So she's already had her time, right? Deltarune hasn't really reused many main characters from Undertale yet. It's mostly, well, actually, I guess entirely, besides like the side characters of like Toriel and Alphys, who haven't really done much. It's been all new characters like Chris and Susie and Rouse and Noelle and Birdley that have been in the Dark Worlds doing things with us, taking the center stage. I think that it would be a bit redundant and wouldn't be what Toby wants to do to reuse Undyne and give her a new character arc. So the Dark Worlds are a great chance to explore different characters, like what Noelle and Birdley did in the Chapter 2 Dark World. Is we didn't know much about them. Seemed kind of like one-note characters, like traditional nice girl, and then traditional, super annoying nerd guy. Ended up being pretty deep characters with cool backstories. And we know that Noelle is going to be one of the most important characters in this, in her family as a whole, one of the most important characters in this game. So I would hope that we see some new characters that have some time to shine in the next chapter. So with that in mind then, who's it gonna be? Well, I have 3 main options, so it's really just 2, because the third one's kind of a cop-out. But, a cop-out? Get it? Oh, man. So option 1 is Napstablook. Undertale didn't really use Napstablook a whole lot. He kind of appeared twice. His first battle in Ruins was kind of a setup for the conclusion of the battle against the Mad Dummy, right? So he still has a lot to unpack here, potentially, with his character. He also has some time in his house if you want to hang out and do that kind of stuff with him. But once again, that doesn't really lend us a whole lot to his character and who he really is. And the fact that Napstablook is even like present in Deltarune's universe is interesting to me, that he's an officer for starters. Very interesting role for the character to take on. So yeah, he is an officer, so he could show up. Maybe Undyne is busy, or she doesn't think that this case is worthy of her time, for example. It'd be awesome if Napstablook showed up, and it'd be a fun and reasonable subversion of the expectation, because, I mean, there's nothing against it happening. He's an officer, right? So it's very possible that Toriel called Officer Napstablook in to check out the slashed tires and the strange goings-on around the Dreamer household. The next option, which also says option 1, is Asgore. So, Asgore, despite being one of the, like, hyped up big bads of Undertale, he really didn't do a whole lot. His entire character is kind of just based on his past with Toriel. Like, his character is, besides his role in taking the souls and how his kind of like morality plays into that, his character is almost entirely based off of and hinges on his family dynamics, and that kind of like it's contingent on his ex-wife and his son and his child in Kara as well. And I think that there's a lot more to explore with Asdor as a character. I mean, he's clearly pretty big in Deltarune already. I wouldn't be surprised if the flower shop is the Dark World. There's the whole egg thing. He has a whole like dedicated cutscene, or multiple of them rather, and a new design. So, and I'm personally a big Asdor fan. Asdor is probably my favorite character from Undertale. So I would like to see them explore more about why Toriel and Asdor are like doomed to fail, because they're divorced in this universe too, and he hasn't killed any kids as far as I know in this universe, though he might potentially be the cause for Dessa's disappearance, for example, or some other tragedy that happened, and maybe he catches a lot of blame because he used to be an officer. He used to be an officer, and he was let go for some unknown reason. Once again, I think a lot of people assume that it has to do with some kind of failure in the desk case, which could have potentially led to the falling out between him and Toriel. So I think that Asdor is a great chance, because we know that Toriel is going to be in the Dark World, because, you know, she's in the house, it's her house, that this would be a great chance to explore the dynamic between her and Asdor, and maybe Chris and Asdor, and obviously Ralsei is going to be there, and he looks a lot like Asriel. So having the kind of like the whole Dreamer family there, kind of metaphorically with Ralsei, would be a great opportunity to explore this dynamic that has been teased since Undertale but not fully elaborated on. So I really do hope and expect that we will see Asdor at some point in Deltarune take a major role, but especially I think it's likely that it'll be in Chapter 3. So then finally, the cop-out option that I was talking about before is multiple. I think it's possible that any combination of these characters or other characters could appear. I think it's possible that both Napstablook and Undyne show up, and maybe Undyne still has a major role, or maybe Napstablook has the major role, or they kind of like do like a good cop, bad cop kind of thing. There's certainly so many dynamics that we could play into, or maybe one of the officers shows up and Asdor shows up, or everyone is here, all of them show up, right? It doesn't have to be just one character that appears, because in the previous chapter we had Noelle and Berdly join us in the Dark World, so that's two outside characters from the fun gang that joined us. So the same thing could happen here, where we get two or more characters appearing. So I wouldn't discount any theories that say that Undyne could come, because I think that that's still a very strong possibility. I wouldn't say that only one character has to come. I think that it'd be cool to see some interesting team dynamics from characters like Asdor and Undyne, who we know used to train together, but we didn't see these kinds of things in Undertale. I think Deltarune's a great chance to flesh out some underutilized dynamics and characters from Undertale that fans really want to see. And this should be a great way to do it, since this Dark World is in a place that kind of like the whole family dynamic of Undertale centers on, because it is the Dreamer household, and that's the Dreamer family is the whole point. This is the whole crux of Undertale, and seemingly Deltarune for the time being. Though I imagine that it might end up being the Holiday family is more important ultimately in Deltarune, but the fact that it's taking place in the Dreamer house is a great chance for them to explore more of the Dreamer family dynamic. But with that in mind, guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed my take on the whole Undyne Dark World theory. I have a lot more videos up on the channel about my other expectations for Deltarune. I'll be making more as we get closer, and more after Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 come out. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can stay tuned for all that juicy, good content. yeah, with that in mind, guys, have a great rest of your day. Be safe, be smart, don't be stupid, and I'll see you next time. What's up, guys? Hopefully your day is going well so far. Let's cut straight to the chase. The legend in Deltarune is pretty weird, and it doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense to me, at least. Especially with how Ralsei is also kind of weird himself, and lots of strange stuff going on here. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. But this video idea was made entirely by Fruit Salad tier member Com Luke. Shout out to him for being so generous and for this great idea. If you want to suggest a video idea and potentially be on the video, then you should also become a Fruit Salad tier member. But before we start, if you like the video, you like the content, be sure to like and subscribe. If you watch my videos, you haven't subscribed yet, and you like the content, then why not subscribe? It'd help a lot, help me grow, and get my stuff out there. So thanks a lot. Alright, so, what does the legend foretell, first and foremost? Like, what all do we know about the legend itself? Well, number one, the legend foretells a human, a monster, and a prince from the dark as these three heroes that are going to rise up after the roaring occurs, or after the earth draws its last breath, as the legend puts it. And they're going to steal the fountains and banish the angels' heaven. Now, a weird thing about the legend here is that it uses the word if. It says if the harmony between light and dark is like unbalanced, then the essentially what is presumed to be the roaring will occur, also known as the earth shattering and the ground breaking and the fountains shooting up and all these terrible things that Ralsei elaborates more on in chapter 2. We can assume are the same thing. And so it says if, which is strange because usually a prophecy is more of like a concrete thing. It says when this happens, this is going to happen, not if this happens, this will happen, because it's not really a prophecy at that point. That's more of like a warning, right? So that's the first strange thing. But also, it's pretty loose about who fills the roles of the heroes, it seems. At least, that's one of the main bases for this video, is that it says a human, a monster, and a prince from the dark. Not like the human, you know, or like the prince from the dark. Especially the prince is a weird thing, because, I mean, like, there should only be one, right? It's Ralsei, you'd think, but maybe not, so that's another strange thing there. Also, just by nature, it's kind of a paradox, because the legend is about if the roaring happens, but it also foretells that the heroes only rise up after the roaring and seal the fountains after the roaring. So the roaring hasn't happened yet, we assume, but the heroes are already here and they're already sealing the fountain. At least we think that we're doing what the legend is telling us to do currently. But what if we're taking it wrong? Like, what if we're not doing what the legend is talking about? That's also a possibility. Yeah, with that in mind, it's just pretty inconsistent, right? Not really the most, not really the most airtight kind of thing that Ralsei tells us here. So it's led people to kind of question what's actually going on, if we are actually doing the right thing. And also Gaster's around. I don't elaborate it much later in the video, so I'll go ahead and say this. Like, Gaster kind of is where the legend started, because if you go to the 2016 snapshot of the Deltarune.com website, and you increase the contrast on the image, we can see the legend written in wingdings, at least part of the legend. So this to me implies that Gaster either knows the legend, or that he created it himself. So Gaster's involved here too. Of course he is, he always is. So, case number one here is the human. Now, I want to go through and kind of break down there's some other options besides the characters that we have currently. So, once again, the legend says a human is one of the heroes, but it doesn't have to be Chris. It can be anybody, really. We don't know any other humans in Hometown, but it could be the Vessel or the player of the game, who are presumably both human. The Vessel is like maybe a goner human, but probably just a human, I think, and also the planet on Mars, perhaps, but besides that, you're a human. And there could be other humans outside of Hometown, too. Like, there's probably more humans on the planet than just Chris, I would assume. So there's that as well. So here's my idea, that I'll talk about more on later in the video, is what if the human in the legend is supposed to be the Vessel? So if Gaster made the legend, and Gaster also wanted us as the player to design and control a vessel, what if that intentional, or the intended idea for the human was the vessel that we made with Gaster, and that Chris is kind of just not supposed to be here, really, you know? And it would also make sense as to why Rousey talks with Chris. I mentioned this in the Rousey video, but like, what if Rousey is telling Chris, like, hey, this isn't how it's supposed to go, this wasn't part of the plan, you weren't supposed to have this soul inside of you, I'll try to fix it, this and that, right? Especially if you believe my theory on the Rousey video that Rousey was made by Gaster and is doing his bidding, right? So that's on the human. Case 2 is the monster. Now, this one I have a little bit less reservations about. I think Susie's a pretty solid choice for a number of reasons, but once again, it says a monster, so there's plenty of monsters in Hometown. It could be any of the monsters, really. Though I do think that Susie is most likely the one that is actually supposed to be here. For starters, her picture in the legend, like, animatic, is the most convincingly her. So, the one for Chris, or the human, could really be any human, because a lot of the vessels have hair like that, and the hair is really the only defining feature, right? And then the one for the prince, or Rousey, is just a creature in a hood, a robe, right? And even then, like, the feet on the creature don't really resemble Rousey's feet, even then, so that's a bit strange. But Susie, I mean, there's so many monsters that could be in the legend, but all the monsters have pretty distinct designs. Usually there's, like, only a few monsters at most for, like, a species of them, like the goat type, or the snowdrake type of monster, that kind of like the iceberg, right? And here we see something that's pretty distinctly resembles Susie's type of monster, and we only ever see her as that type, right? So it looks like her, for starters. And also, her picture is, like, right in the middle. And I'm going back again, actually. Her picture is right in the middle, so the human and the prince are on the sides. It focuses on the monster, which could be because she's wider and takes up more space, so it is more symmetrical that way. Very possible, but I think that is interesting that she has the most spotlight here. So my idea is, like, what if she's the main character? Now, this doesn't go a whole lot further in this video, at least, but it certainly does make a future observation about the legend seem a bit weird, or more about Rousey, honestly. And also, the way that she interacts with the legend and what she says about choices not mattering is very interesting. I'll cover that in a minute as well. So then case 3 is the prince. Now you'll notice that I didn't include a picture of Rousey here because there's actually someone that is also qualified to be a prince of the dark, and that's a lancer. Now I mentioned that it's kind of strange for the legend to say a prince from the dark because this is the most, like, specific role out of all of them. Like, there's plenty of humans and plenty of monsters, but there's only really one choice for a prince of the dark that you think of immediately, but there's also a second choice, and that's Lancer because he is the king's son, therefore he's a prince, and he's from the dark, like, he's a darkener, right? So it'd be a very interesting plot twist to me if Rousey, who is the most kind of, like, fixated on making the legend work out and happen, he seems to think that he has some kind of duty, some obligation to the legend. It'd be very interesting to see how he reacts if he finds out that he's not actually the prince of the legend, Lancer is. I could see Rousey really having, like, a very interesting low point, or like a crash out moment where he realizes that it's not really about him, like, what's his purpose and this and that. So I think this would be a very interesting place to take this game's story, is have Lancer be the prince and to see how Rousey reacts to it. And then case 4 is some other things that are a little inconsistent here. We also know that the legend is future tense, so it says when this happens, if this happens, after this and that happens, and it says that the humans, or the heroes, rise up after the roaring. But Rousey insists that the Fun Gang just is, the Fun Gang are the heroes, sure. The Fun Gang are the heroes of the legend, despite the roaring not seemingly have happened yet. So then why is Rousey so insistent that these are the heroes rising up? Because that's not the part of the timeline in the legend where it happens, right? And then also, the legend says that the heroes will steal the fountain, but then Rousey says that only Chris / the player can seal the fountain. So maybe that means like they work together to get to the fountain, and then the human seals the fountain with their soul. Maybe is what it means, but it's also a strange thing because they don't really use their power together to seal the fountain. That as a role, a job that is assigned entirely to the human in the party, right? So my first theory is something that I mentioned in a previous video, in the predetermination video about Sham and Jeffel and Spamton and such. But what if the roaring already happened? Now this is a pretty popular theory that kind of riffs off of the time loop theory by Jaru, and also the idea, I've heard various things about the cliffs area in the opening of chapter 1, about like how maybe it's like a Titan body, or it's like the leftovers of a post-roaring Dark World, because of how the Titan like eyeballs appear on the cliffs, like how on this main Titan's body in the middle here in this picture, those weird like symbols on its chest and torso appear in the cliffs area, and how Rousey, despite being a prince, his kingdom is empty. Where did his people go, right? So there's this idea that maybe the heroes are rising now because the roaring already happened, and that kind of explains away what I was talking about in the last slide, about like the timeline being weird. So if the roaring already happened in the past, then the heroes rising up at this point wouldn't be too strange for Rousey to believe, right? Theory 2 is more the main point of this video, which is that the legend is not set in stone. The legend is strange because it keeps talking about like if this, then this, and not really a when this happens thing. So this is what I mentioned at the very start of the video, is that most legends and prophecies are like, this is going to happen, and when it does, this is going to happen, and this and that. But this prophecy is more like a warning, right? Kind of an instruction on what to do and how to avoid bad outcomes and such, which implies that things can still change, because there's no point in saying, if this happens, then this happens, if you can't avoid it, right? That'd be a waste of writing in this legend. So it comes across as more of a fluid kind of legend where there's still things that are subject to change. And that makes it interesting because Susie at the start of the game is the one that tells us that our choices don't matter, right? But at the same time, she is the one in chapter 1 who most directly opposes the legend. She's like, yeah, I don't really want to do this. Like, I'm going to choose to not do what Rousey asked me to do, and I'm going to choose to not be the hero of the legend. And of course, she ultimately does end up being that, for now at least, but she still, like, resists it. Whereas Rousey, who tells us that our choices do matter, is the one who seems so focused and so intent on making the legend come true, and making us follow the legend to a T. So it seems like our choices don't really matter as long as they're following the legend, right? Which is all that matters to him in some sense. So there's a very interesting kind of a character contrast in how they speak about choices and then how they behave in regards to this legend that seems to be kind of fluid and kind of loose, in the sense that it could be subject to change. Certain things could still happen differently than what it says. So that's also pretty weird. And then finally, there's one last character that we haven't mentioned in this legend, and that's the angel. So the legend mentions the heroes banishing the angels' heaven, right? And the heroes themselves, as I mentioned, are kind of like potentially fluid roles that could be subject to change. Well, if we assume that for the heroes, then why not assume it for the angel as well? And so this idea is that the character that fills the role of the angel, like in Undertale, might change or vary, or there could be multiple of them, depending on our actions, or depending on circumstances, or once again, there could be more than one. And yeah, so this happened in Undertale with how the angel could be the angel that frees the underground by breaking the barrier and setting them free, so that would be Azrael. Or the angel could be this angel of death that frees the underground by killing all of them. So, once again, if the angel in Deltarune behaves similarly to in Undertale, then it could be a role that is filled by multiple characters. So, that will be interesting to see. And actually, I have a video coming out tomorrow on more of this topic about the multiple angels and what the Angels Heaven is and this and that. So stay tuned for that as well. And if you want to hear more updates on development of videos, and if you want to hang out and have fun, or submit Birdly art for a upcoming video about Birdly, which we're doing a little like Birdly art promo thing right now. So come join the Discord and you can do just that. It's called the Fruit Basket. We have about 160-ish members, I think, and we have a lot of fun there, so I'd love to see you there soon. And to finish off, thanks for watching the video. If you made it this far, you must like the video, so why not like the video? Also, thanks to Ko-Fi donors Rosie Pixels and Frisky, Apple tier members Blake the Snake and Herman24, and the absolute GOAT, Fruit Salad tier member Calm Luke. Thanks to all you guys for supporting the channel. And with that in mind, I love you guys. Be safe, be smart, don't be stupid, and have a great rest of your day.